So hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you are doing well and you are all fine with good health. So today we will be discussing an interesting topic, and this topic is an integration, we can say, with physiology. The core part is physiology, little bit about biochemistry also, and a small portion of blood physiology. Okay, fine. So we all know ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It's a energy currency of our body. Without ATP, we can't survive. We can't get energy. Whatever the work we are doing, it's because of the ATP that provides us the energy. Okay. So we will be learning today the synthesis of ATP. Where it gets synthesized, it's in the mitochondria. And we all know mitochondria is the powerhouse of a cell because ATP formation takes place in the mitochondria, and from there ATP is being utilized to form the energy. Okay. So the thing is how ATP gets synthesized in the mitochondria. That is the main point. We all know that the particular definition that mitochondria is the power of a cell because ATP generation takes place in that. But today in this video we will be looking how exactly ATP gets synthesized in the mitochondria. Okay. So we all know we take food. In food we take proteins, carbs, fats, vitamins, minerals, and lot. Okay. So generally this is a cell. Okay. So this glucose will enter into the cell. G for glucose. Okay. Now mainly in the cytoplasm there are many enzymes. Okay. Those enzymes, what they will do, they will break the glucose, they will metabolize the glucose into series of steps, and finally will make convert glucose into pyruvate. So glucose will undergo series of steps to form the product pyruvate. Okay. In between there are many intermediate steps, intermediate products will be formed, so which we are not going to discuss here. Those we will be discussing in the completely different subject, that is the biochemistry. In physiology, just we need to know that glucose gets converted into pyruvate, and this process is known as glycolysis. Okay. This process is known as glycolysis. During this process, okay, during this process, energy from this process is being released. Okay, and that energy has been brought up by the glucose nutrient. Okay, this released energy helps in formation of ATP. How ATP is formation? ADP or AMP gets converted to ATP. But this formation ATP is very minute. We can say less than 5%. Okay. Now, what happened? Talking about amino acid and fatty acid, which are the simplest form of proteins and fats, what they will do in the cell organelle, we all know there is a mitochondria. Okay. So in mitochondria, what they will do? They will first enter. They will enter into the mitochondria and get converted into acetoacetic acid. Okay. Simultaneously, this pyruvate also will be entering into the mitochondria. Okay, P. Now, this acetoacetic and pyruvate will get converted in the mitochondria to acetyl coenzyme A. Okay. Now, this acetyl coenzyme A will be entering into the series of again intermediate reaction. It's a cycle, we can say, and that cycle is known as TCA cycle. Okay. And in TCA cycle, this acetyl coenzyme A will get converted into carbon dioxide and hydrogen molecule. Okay. Actually, I don't have any space in here. This carbon dioxide and hydrogen molecule gets synthesized in the mitochondria only. Okay. Now what happens? This carbon dioxide will be expelled out, via our lungs. Okay. Now we all know we inhale oxygen. Okay. So what is the role of the oxygen? So this oxygen that we inhale gets combined with these hydrogen atoms, and what they will form? Water. During this reaction, the combination between the hydrogen and the oxygen, during this combination, energy is being released, and this energy is responsible for synthesizing 95% of ATP. Okay. So we got to know how this ATP formation takes place. Okay, fine. Now the thing is, this expelled carbon dioxide from the cell, before only I told you the little bit about blood physiology we need to enter. Okay, we will see this one separately. This expelled carbon dioxide that has been extruded by the cell enters into the RBC. Okay, so when carbon dioxide enters in RBC, there is already present water. Okay, fine. So in RBC, there is an enzyme known as carbonic anhydrase. What this enzyme do? This will reversibly combine this carbon dioxide and water to form carbonic acid, and this carbonic acid, sorry, this carbonic acid will get converted into bicarbonate ion. Okay, bicarbonate ion, and this bicarbonate ion will get further changed in the lungs to carbon dioxide, and from where it gets expelled. Okay, fine. So now everything is clear. How carbon dioxide gets expelled, why we inhale oxygen, and why we consume food, and how in the mitochondria ATP formation takes place. Okay. So again, revising it: glucose, amino acid, fatty acid. So these are all the simplest form of the nutrients. First, glucose will enter into the cell. Then glucose gets converted into pyruvate, and that process is known as glycolysis. From there, the energy is being released from that particular conversion, and from that energy, ATP formation takes place, but that is very minute. Okay, and amino acid and fatty acid directly enters into the mitochondria and gets converted first to acetoacetic acid, and this pyruvate and this acetoacetic acid in the mitochondria gets converted into acetyl coenzyme A, and this acetyl coenzyme A enters into the TCA cycle, which is also a very long intermediate steps. So in TCA cycle, this acetyl coenzyme A gets converted into hydrogen atom and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, it gets expelled out, and the oxygen that we inhale gets combined with hydrogen atom, and formation of water takes place. During the combination of hydrogen atom and oxygen atom, what happens? Energy is being released, and that particular energy is responsible for the synthesis of ATP, which is 95%. Most of the ATP synthesis takes place via this. So here oxygen takes place. So here we can say aerobic metabolism. And in glycolysis, there is no role of oxygen, so we can say anaerobic metabolism. Okay. So this part we can say aerobic, and this one we can say anaerobic. Okay, and how carbon dioxide is been expelled? When the cell used up and throws the carbon dioxide, that carbon dioxide enters into the RBC, and in RBC already water is there, and this carbon dioxide and water, with the help of carbonic anhydrase enzyme, it will form carbonic acid, which is reversible. Okay, reversible, and this carbonic acid gets further converted into bicarbonate ion, and in the lungs, it gets converted into carbon dioxide again, and from there it gets expelled out to the atmosphere. Okay, so I hope you all like this video, and if you have any queries, any doubts, you can ask me. Glycolysis and TCA cycle, I'm reminding you again, TCA and glycolysis, details in biochemistry. So this is a physiology part, so we are only focusing on the transformation, not about the intermediate steps. Okay, intermediate steps you will be getting in the biochemistry in details. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you guys have understood this process, how ATP formation takes place in the mitochondria, why we eat food, why we inhale oxygen, and how we expel carbon dioxide. Okay, so this is a daily life process in our body, and which is very much essential for all the bio students to know. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day.